What's going on, guys? My name is Joe, and I'll always be 1/4 natty daddies. It has been a little while since I've posted a video, but I can assure you that I have a ton of content recorded. It just needs to be edited, but me and my editor are currently getting the fuck after it in the gym, depleting ourselves completely, so our priorities have been shifted more so along our personal goals. Nonetheless, I do have some training footage recorded. I have product reviews recorded, and more variety that I've covered that people can look forward to here in the near future. At this particular moment, I'm able to release a full day of eating for my previous refeed day last Thursday. Very high carb. I increased my carbs to 4 times my body weight per gram of carbs. I'm very depleted on an 8-week cut. I'm currently 5 weeks down, and I felt like I really needed to up my carbs on my refeed days in order to sustain more energy for my workouts. As always, for those who happen to give a fuck, the full breakdown of the macros and the meals and what they're made up of will be in the description below. It was definitely a glorious day of eating much needed carbs. I broke 700 grams of carbs for the day, and I'm still currently doing intermittent fasting with my feeding windows at 8 hours and my fasting windows at 16 hours. I've recently decided to eliminate an entire meal and instead make 3 meals larger to reduce feeding windows and increase fasting windows. And also just to make sure that each meal gets an adequate amount of protein in it. Ideally, I do not like to have a meal that's under 46 grams of protein. Nowadays, each meal typically ranges from between 50 and 60 grams of protein per meal, sometimes upwards to 69, but never 70. I don't really believe in overloading protein per meal. The only thing that it's going to do is satiate you a little bit more and control your hunger, because protein takes longer to digest and it makes you feel fuller, etc. I don't feel like I have any issues with feeling satiated because I actually never am satiated with any of my meals. Honestly, this day of refeed was the first Joe-sized meal portions in quite a long time. At least a few months worth of dieting, besides the interstitial period with my bulk. Each meal had around 200 to 300 grams of carbs, as well as a minimum of 40 grams of protein per meal. So I wouldn't say I was extremely full, but I definitely was satisfied. I didn't feel like I had to overeat because I was deprived. It was definitely a nice change from the usual 2 grams of carbs per pound of body weight that I'm used to on a refeed day. Much needed for my sanity as well as my decimated body. My energy levels are so low. When I'm in the gym, my core keeps getting soft and I keep hurting myself because I'm so depleted. Even though that my carbs are between 90 and 100 grams of carbs a day, it's still a very intense workout routine that I'm involved in, and it is ripping me to shreds. Rest times have just been cut to 30 seconds in between sets, which is nothing, especially with compound set movements. And not to mention my final 2 weeks, I'm dropping to 15 seconds of rest. And more than likely, I'm going to need 3 spotters to spot my heavy movements, as my rep ranges will be between 5 and 6 for week 7 of my cut, and for week 8, I drop down to 3 to 4 reps. I train personally at about a 9 to 10 RPE every workout, So lately I've been getting in a lot of forced reps with my decreased rest time because I keep the weight the same as my previous month in order to track progress with a specific weight that I use for the prescribed rep range to the exercise. So September 7th will be technically my final day of this 8-week cut, but it will be leading into my peak day, so I'll be increasing carbs to about 4 times body weight once again, and then again the following day, and I'll play it by ear on the day of my photo. Given that I only had 8 weeks to prep, I do not expect to be fully diced like I'd like to be. However, after photo day, I plan on immediately reverse dieting, start getting some carbs back in my body on a regular basis, get back to some normalcy. I'm going to force myself into staying in maintenance for a little while, and I know myself well, so I am anticipating after my diet break to probably do another 4-week cut, and that's it, with probably no reverse dieting necessary because I will be doing a mini cut carb cycle type deal, which is really not necessary to throw another reverse diet into play because it will be such a short-term cut, and the body should likely be already adjusted to the carbs from my previous reverse diet. My ultimate goal, without fail, is by the end of November to be in a full swing bulk, and by mid to late December begin another minimum 2-week dirty bulk. I'd really like to hit some 2-a-days in the gym, and those extra calories are going to be pretty necessary to accomplish that without overtraining. Plus, the type of relationship that I have with food is irreplaceable. I'm the type of person that definitely needs my long-term diet breaks and just to let myself loose. Not to go crazy, but still stay on a structured path. However, let my meals get a little bit less monitored. Like I've already mentioned in this video, every meal that I've eaten in this video is all Joe-sized portions. And realistically, growing up, this is how I ate, if not 2 to 3 times more the volume. When I dirty bulk, it's absolutely nothing to me to put on 1.5 pounds a day. My total all-time weight gain record, in about 2 to 3 weeks, I've put on 40 to 50 pounds before, and recently. Actually, my last dirty bulk that I just did was only about 3 weeks long, and that was when I put on the 40 pounds. I think I reached about 210 at one point, maybe 214, from about 175. A ton of that weight, probably specifically 20 pounds at least, was water weight. Also, it took my body at least a week just to digest the mass that was inside of my stomach over the course of the 3 weeks that I binge ate. I shit you not, I ate a minimum of 10,000 calories a day on a light day. And it is very likely that I hit a few 20 to 30,000 calorie days. And honestly, I would even vouch for myself to say that I've hit a 50,000 calorie day in that process. It's nothing to me. I specifically remember making a few milkshakes back to back one day, and I guarantee I threw like maybe 4 cupcakes in the milkshake, at least a pint of ice cream, I would say, at least. You know, full fat milk, spoonfuls of Nutella, protein powder, you name it. The kitchen sink went in my milkshakes. Realistically, I got to the point where if I thought something looked appetizing, it was getting eaten. I definitely ate to the point of absolute discomfort. Actually, my first actual cheat meal, besides a couple of donuts from the gas station, was going to an all-you-can-eat sushi buffet, and I ate so much. I mean, only 5 to 6 rolls, but I filled up on water and all that shit too, because of all that sodium and shit. But I ate so much that I couldn't even make it out of the parking lot. I passed out in the parking lot for 2 to 3 hours before I was on my way home. Honestly, that bulk was the entire reason why I keep a box of Prilosec and some Gas-X in my gym bag at all times. I was taking those pills just to get through my workouts because I was so backed up with all that food in my stomach and gastric reflux and what have you. But the pumps were incredible every workout. Not every workout was great, but when I had a good workout, it was really good. And I think I've made gains to stay in such a short period of time. I probably would cut my dirty bulk to 2 weeks maximum next time I do it, just because it's such a pain in the ass to really strip off this extra body fat. I can do it, it's just not preferable. But I'm far from being considered a hard gainer. So a clean bulk would do me a lot of good. But I'm very sporadic in my decision-making process anyways, so who's to know what I'm going to do next? All I know is I'm looking forward to ending this weight cut and getting back on a normalized carbohydrate intake. And that's the end of that. Hopefully you enjoyed this full day of eating. I've got a ton of content coming your way. Product reviews, training content, more eating videos. So look forward to that here in the near future. And in the meantime, I still plan on focusing on my family and my goals. And the content will drop as soon as I can. Until then, I'll always be 1/4 natty daddies. Before I slaughter it. So you fucking vegan.
You're home, in 30 minutes. That was a pretty